Hey guys, Analogman here for another late night deck profile, and as you can see from the title, we are looking into a deck that actually came on BT10, but I haven't really been able to cover it until now. Uh, Bloomlordmon is kind of a weird deck. Honestly, I didn't really um, basically look into it. I basically saw it as kind of like the green version of Jessamon, but the deck actually has a bit more depth than that than I originally expected. The deck actually has a lot of power to it. It actually has a few more options than Jessamon because Jessamon is more of just like a straight up just I'm going to punch through security and just kill you. But here it's like it requires a lot more steps, but the steps are actually really insane. Like they're actually very simple to pull off and actually way less complicated than Jessamon, surprisingly. As most people who've played Jessamon, you know how when you attack, you trigger like 6, 7 effects. Here, it's just I'm just suspending something and I'm checking and unsuspending. That's it. That's all there is. And honestly, it feels like a more simplified version of the Jessamon deck at its current. Of course, as you can see from the title, this is currently built with EX3 cards. So we did actually get a slight boost to this deck because we got a new rookie that says when it's suspended, it suspends one of your opponent's Digimon. So you can actually set up for more piercing attacks more than you used to be able to. And of course, we got the new level 6 green Hydramon, or as many people in my locals have been calling it. It's just like Hydrus or something, whatever. It's a very obscene card. If you know, like anybody who's watched this channel, if you've seen what Hydramon's alternate art is, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very obscene card, and I don't know how that got past censors, but it's just yeah, bruh, it's a bruh moment right there. But that new level 6 card is actually really crazy. You gain memory off of your opponent anytime they suspend their Digimon. Basically, as long as you have like let's say your board has like 3 suspended guys, when they suspend theirs, you immediately gain 3 memory. It's kind of like Kari, but built into a level 6, which is really crazy. Like I didn't understand how the card worked until I read it, and I'm just like okay, this card is actually kind of busted how it works. Plus the fact that by the time of like basically at the end of your turn, if your opponent has anything that's been suspended for a while, it gets bottom decked, which is like insane also because you get to bottom deck stuff, and if you combine it with the option card Gran del Sol, you can basically take out like two guys on their board and just board wipe them basically without even having to lead anything, which is crazy. Anyway, enough talk about how crazy this deck is. Let's actually get into the deck profile. So first we run 4 Argomons because you do a lot of unsuspending in this deck, or at least with Bloomlordmon, but I've actually in testing been able to basically gain at least 1 or 2 memory. Having 2 Digimon with this underneath it, I gain 2 memory in the process when it goes to my turn, which is really nice. And then we run the one of Gummymon. Basically, this one is from the old EX2 set. It was for the Terriermon deck, but it actually works really well for this deck too. Basically, your turn once per turn. When an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you can draw a card, which actually does help you draw into your level 3s and level 4s that you can spam out onto the board. So actually, pretty solid, baby. And, running 5, it's like if it ends up dragging into a longer game, you have that 5th egg just in case. And this card doesn't really hurt to have. But, it's like having these, it's actually pretty solid. That's all the eggs we run. For the level 3s, we actually run a bit of them. So I'm just going to lay them all out so that we can see which ones I'm running. First off, we're running the new BT10 Palmon. Uh, Originally, I didn't understand how this card worked. I actually thought it only grabbed 1 card, but upon reading it again, it's actually really busted because on play you get to reveal the top 4 and you get to add something with vegetation, plant, or fairy. So basically, you get to add one of those, the vegetation or plant, and you get to add 1 fairy. So if you top deck it properly, you basically get to grab something that's like a level 4 or 5, and then you get to grab your level 6, which is really cool. And then of course you bottom deck the rest. But this is basically your main searcher of the deck, and you can actually spam this which is really insane. I've been able to spam, like basically going second. I just played it. I evolved it into a Sunfloramon, and then I played another one of this to keep searching. So you basically get double search sometimes if you do the line correctly, which is really crazy. Honestly, this is really awesome how that works. Then we run 4 of the Pomomon from the new EX3. This is the card I was talking about that when an effect suspends this guy, you get to suspend one of your opponents, which does help you set up for more plays, which is really cool. And I just really like this guy. He's really cute. And of course, the fact that he just lets you suspend stuff. So you can actually get rid of your opponent's board by just punching through with your guys, which is cool. Then we run Then we run two. Actually, my bad. Sorry. We run 2 of the Pomomons from BT9. This one is actually kind of like a blocker. It's kind of like a memory blocker, but specifically, all turn players can't play Digimon by effects. So you basically summon this at the end of your turn, specifically so that you can stop them from spamming the board like you are. So this actually helps stop Jessamon and basically Purple. So it's actually really solid. And if they delete it, they have to waste memory to get rid of it. So it's kind of funny to make them do that. Then we run 3 Mushroom Mons. We run it because it's a 2 cost 3,000 and it's very generic, and of course it's also vegetation. Same with both the Pomomons and the Palmon, so easy search with them. And yeah, we basically run the we basically just run like the 12. Well, actually, it's like 8, 10, it's like 13, but it's just 1 over. But I've been able to see these consistently no matter what. And having the Pomus, honestly, I love seeing this Pomu because he actually does so much for your deck now. The old one is still really good, but it's only against certain decks. So that's why you run maybe 2, maybe 1, depending on what you want to do preference wise. Mushroomon you can also run at 2 or 3. I actually decided to run 3 because that way I can see more rookies. And if I go first and I only see this, it's whatever. I just play this for 2, pass them to 2, whatever. And I have a rookie and I can swing or evolve with it. So very solid. But yeah, that's all the rookies we run. We run, of course, 13 in this build. Normally you would run 12, but Green has kind of a weird thing with drawing rookies, so I opted for 13. That one extra just in case. For level 4s, we run 4 of the new red Vegemon from BT10. Mainly it's because he's vegetation, he's 3 cost, he's also 3,000, and of course he's only 1 cost to evolve, so very nice. Then we run 4 of the Sun Flowmon. This is one of also your other best level 4s because when Digivolving, you can suspend something to play anything vegetation, plant, or fairy that has 3,000 DP or less. So you can actually help set up and spam the board faster with her, which is really cool. Also, her inherit is actually pretty nice too because when an effect suspends a Digimon, you get to draw a card. That's really solid, especially when you go to your level 5s, and a lot of Green's level 5s do have Digisorption, so that will trigger this, which is really nice. Then we run 3 of I still don't know how to pronounce his name. It's like Namakemon or whatever, but he's basically the other searcher of the deck. I originally was not running him, but then I looked at his effect to suspend, which actually helps boost this deck. So it basically lets you add any green Digimon from the search that it does. So you basically can add anything in this deck, no matter what typing it is. So he's actually one of the best searchers in the deck. The only downside is that he is kind of weak, and he's not vegetation or plant or even fairy. He's a puppet type, so he's kind of hard to search, but you just kind of have to draw him, which is kind of rough, but it's whatever. That also comes in. That also is the case for our other level 4, or our last level 4 technically, Parasaurmon. This one is mainly there to reduce the cost to hard play stuff, specifically like this or maybe this. So this one basically you just suspend him and just reduce the cost by 1. So this becomes like a 3. This becomes like a 2. So it's just there. And then its inherent effect is also really good. When an effect suspends one of your opponent's Digimon, you can suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So if you use your effect of Bloomlordmon, you can suspend something, gain back the memory, suspend theirs, and then pierce through their guy, which is actually really powerful. I've been able to pierce through Jessmon a few times in testing, so very solid. But yeah, that's all the level 4s we run. We run let's see, that's 11, 12, 13 as well to match the rookies. So we have 13 and 13 so far, which actually I kind of like that way, honestly, because that way you have a level 4 for every rookie and a rookie for every level 4, which is really nice. That's not the case for the level 5s, though. We run 4 of the new Aegitormon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I hope I am. But anyway, this guy's really cool. Main, once per turn, you get to suspend one of your green Digimon, including himself, to basically play a vegetation, plant, or fairy with 3,000 DP or less. So he's basically the same as Sunflowmon, except you don't have to Digivolve to activate this effect. His inherit is also really cool. Is that when you suspend something, like let's say with Bloomlordmon, you gain a memory. So if you manage to gain back the 2 with Bloomlord, you can gain back 1 more, so you're getting 3 memory back. So you're keeping it to your turn at maybe like 1 or 2. So that's really solid. Then we run 2 Cherrymons because, of course, he has Digisorption for 2. And then opponent's turn, he can redirect attacks to your suspended Digimon at least once. So you can redirect it to a rookie, so they basically have to waste their attack, and they can't kill your Bloomlord, which is really nice. He doesn't have an inherent, but he's just there kind of as like a pseudo blocker, which is really cool. Then we run 1 Argomon, 1 Argomon, and then 1 Pistmon, because they all Digisorption by 3 and then 2 for him. And then all turns, this Digimon gets 1,000 for each of your suspended. This guy is actually a sleeper, dude. Like a sleeper hit for this deck, because if you have like 5 suspended guys, you gain plus 5,000 with him, which is really crazy. This one helps you spam more of your searchers and rookies onto the board. And then this Argomon basically lets you just also spam more level 3s onto the board. So very solid how it works. But yeah, that's all the level 5s we run. We run exactly 9 level 5s, but they're very solid and very powerful and help you kind of suspend a lot of your stuff to set up. But yeah, let's get into level 6s. We run 4 of Bloomlordmon because, of course, he is the main hitter of the deck and the heart and soul of the deck. For anybody who doesn't know what this card does by this point, when Digivolving, you can suspend one of your Digimon, and then you get to gain a memory for each of your suspended. So if you set it up correctly, you can gain up to 3 to 4 memory if you do it right. And then when that happens, you can unsuspend him. It gains piercing, and it gains security attack and plus 2,000 for every 2 guys. So if you have enough, you can actually boost this guy up to 16,000 and swing for 2 checks. So very powerful card, and the fact that he can just suspend something, and the fact that he gains piercing and security, you can basically wipe their board at the same time, which is really cool. Then we run 2 of the new Hydramon. Sadly, I only have 2 copies, so I'm running 2 at the moment. If I had a third one, I would honestly run it. Well, maybe because in testing it's decent, but it's not like the best. You wanna go for Bloomlord more than him, but he's still really solid if you don't draw Bloomlord. For anybody that doesn't know, his effect is really cool. When Digivolving, you can just suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then all turns when your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, you get for each suspended Digimon with vegetation, plant, or fairy in its traits, you gain 1 memory. So basically, you suspend theirs, you pass it over, maybe putting them to like 4, and then you basically gain back like 2 to 3 memories. So you're putting them to 1 in the process. So basically, this guy only costs like 3 or 4 half the time. And then at the end of your turn, if you have 2 or more suspended, you can just bottom deck the guy that you just suspended on their side. So really powerful card. But yeah, we only run 2 for now, but that's all level 6s. We only run 6 level 6s, which is fine. You see them consistently enough because this deck actually does draw a bit now. Mainly because we also run 3 green memory boosts because we want to search out our cards if we're missing anything in our hand. It's self-explanatory, gain 2 memory, you get to search the top 4, so very powerful card. I would run it at 4, but I feel like it might kind of brick stuff, so I'm keeping it at 3 for now, in testing, because this is still a very rough draft version of it. Then we run 2 Samad Santis. In testing, this card is really busted. I really want to run a third, but I had to make room for the other option, Gran del Sol. But if I didn't have to run this, I would run honestly 3 of this because it's just so good. Gran del Sol is also really powerful because if you have basically it reduces its own cost and it gets to help you bottom deck stuff. So if you combo this with Hydramon, you can potentially bottom deck 2 of their guys on board. So it's very powerful. But I only run it at 1 because it costs 8. I'd rather just honestly run another Samad Santi, but I like having this as removal, so we keep it at 1 for now. Then we also run the one hidden potential. This card is still bonkers because it suspends stuff, which is the main thing of this deck. So you basically get to set up and make a second Bloomlord, or just to set up your Bloomlord, and then you get to swing and gain memory at the same time and just go off. It's really cool. This card is actually really busted in this deck because of the suspending part. And then the last two cards we run are two Mimis, because Mimi is still a really powerful card, and of course she lets you hatch a new egg or push up a rookie that's already in raising for basically game. I've actually been able to swing for game with this and testing multiple times because of the tapping and pushing up the rookie to finish it off, because at that point I already swung for like 4 security checks, and I already swung a previous turn with a little guy, so basically that was already game. It's really solid, and of course, memory setters, so very powerful. But yeah, that's basically Bloomlordmon. Honestly, I wasn't expecting this deck to be this powerful, but with the new Pomomon, actually, honestly, this deck is really powerful. And then the Hydramon, oh my god, it just puts this deck over the power limit that it had before. Like before, it had just Bloomlordmon, and you had like the option cards and everything. But with Hydramon, you have that extra removal that actually makes this deck a little bit more control, which honestly, I'm a huge fan of control and board states and stuff, and just controlling everything so that I basically have the advantage. I love decks like that. So I feel like now the deck actually has what I want for me to actually want to play it, compared to just like the, oh, I swing and then I gain memory thing. Now you have like more cool removal stuff, which is really nice. But yeah. Um, I just wanted to put out this deck profile because I wanted people to kind of like see if they could build their own version, and this is a really good template to go off of. This is my very, very, very rough draft, as I mentioned before, so don't like super adhere to it. Just use it and to build yours, at least, and just go from there. Honestly, like everybody has different preferences. Like maybe they might want to run more of this guy, or maybe run more of Pistmon because of his effect, or maybe run more Hydramon compared to what I do, or maybe instead of running this, you run a different removal, or you run a different green card that suspends everything or whatever. So just use this as a template, and go from there. It's also a very fun deck to play. Honestly, like I didn't have a moment where I was like, oh man, this really sucks. Like every time I was just like, okay, just wait, and then stuff comes up, and then you end up basically getting what you need and just going. Um, Honestly, this has enough search power that it's not as crippled by bricks like Grandis. Grandis has such a hard time, like in comparison, Bloomlord and Grandis has those moments that when it bricks hard, and it's awful. Like honestly, it does not feel fun to play when it bricks. This deck feels fun to play when it bricks, because a lot of the stuff you run in the deck is already very low cost, so you can afford to just be like, oh, I'm just gonna play this down and just swing with it next turn. That's fine. It's fine. But with Grandis, all of the cards except for maybe like the level 4s and maybe the rookies cost so much to do that it's not worth it half the time to do it. And then in almost every meta since BT9, there's just so much removal that it's just really hard to keep stuff on board. Compared to this, where it's like you don't care if stuff dies, you want it to die sometimes. So it's just, I don't know. It's just this deck has more of a way to get around things, which is really nice compared to Grandis, where it's like if you just don't get your pieces, you don't get your pieces and you just lose. But here it's like you don't get your pieces, but you can at least stall for a little bit. It's very nice at least that you can do that. And that's what I appreciate about this deck so far, is that you can do that. But yeah, anyway, rambling on. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you thought of the deck, or in the case of certain people, if I missed some of the erratas on this, because I know for a fact that this card might have gone errata because EX3 had a ton of cards that got errated. So if I missaid anything about this, it's not it's on me right there. I already know, so you don't have to comment to I already know that there might be some different printing for this now. These copies are initial printing, so it might be a little bit different, which is fine. But I am aware of the erratas, so I'll adapt this deck to however when when if they're any different from how I'm playing it now. But for now, this deck is very solid even with the erratas. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time, and thanks for watching.